Hey everyone, welcome back to CP Whiskey Creek in nscale, and in this video I'm going to share some clips from a recent work trip to Northern Ontario. So my work had me working out of basically Kenora, so I was up there for 2 weeks spending time in the vicinity there. So I was based out of Kenora, which if you're not familiar is pretty far north in Northern Ontario, and it just happens to be on the Canadian Pacific main line, or if you're into that, CPKC main line. And of course, where I was staying, I spent many times with the window open, and I could hear the whistles of the CPKC running through the area pretty clearly. And they say that there's probably a good 10 to 15 trains a day, and I believe it based on what I could hear. I only got out a couple times to actually do some rail fanning, so here's some of the clips and videos I was able to capture from that. Now, downtown Kenora features the Kenora station, and that station was built for the Canadian Pacific in 1899, and it actually served passenger service up until the 1990s. So even when CP ended their passenger service, Via Rail continued to serve Kenora up until the 1990s, because that was a time when there was significant budget cuts across the Via Rail service. So that ended passenger service there. Now you can still get up to the vicinity through a station in a town called Reddit and another one called Minaki. Now keep Minaki in mind because we'll revisit that a little bit later on. But for the purposes of Kenora for right now, there is no passenger service, but like I said, this just serves as a crew change point and some offices for Canadian Pacific. Now, one thing I found hanging out downtown Kenora is that it's not the greatest part of town. So the area where the station is has some rough patches around it. So it's not the greatest area to be standing there by yourself with expensive phone and camera, taking pictures and video. So if you're traveling to the area, it's something to keep in mind that it's not the most ideal area to be hanging out by yourself, and I don't know how I would feel hanging out there, especially at nighttime. Now, I was able to get away for one afternoon away from the downtown area, and thanks to a little bit of pre-planning and watching a few other people's videos from rail fanning in the Kenora area. So to give credit where credit's due, I saw some videos from the Winnipeg Rail Fan as well as Central Canada Rail Fan, and they had a spot just east of Kenora, right beside a signal, so I was able to get a heads up of a train coming, and this way I could hide inside my vehicle away from all the bugs, because there's, well, quite a few of them up in Northern Ontario. And I was able to catch a little bit of mainline action of the CP. I mean, this is a two-track area, fairly active, so I wasn't there for necessarily very long, and I was able to catch a couple trains coming through the area. Very long grain trains, so it was great to watch that. Kenora also features a railway museum, which on the outside they have on display a EMD SW1200 number 8120, and this one was built in 1958 and retired in 1997. And they also have a CP caboose on display, number 437473, and this is one of the steel sheath central caboose ones that were built in 1954. And this was one of the first series of caboose ever built by CP after moving to steel over wood, and this one was retired in 1991. Now, I got lucky, and the museum itself doesn't open until July, but the day that I showed up, there just happened to be some people there, I think members of the board, so I was able to get a little behind the scenes tour and check out everything that they have on display. There's lots of little railway items that they've collected over the years on display, and artifacts from the local area. And they also have a separate room that has a model railway. So they have an HO scale model railway of the local area, so Kenora and some of the surrounding vicinities. And then remember I mentioned that town of Minaki, they have that represented in a nscale layout right above it. And this way it sort of represents it being farther away from Kenora itself. So if you're ever in the area, I would highly recommend checking out this museum as well as the model railway that they have on display here. So part of my work duties took me to the town of Minaki, which I've mentioned a couple times, and it's about 40 minutes north of Kenora, and it's on the CN main line, as well as where Via Rail's Canadian stops here. And this station was built in 1910 for the National Transcontinental Railway between Winnipeg and Moncton, and it served and continues to serve for a bunch of fishing lodges in the area, and at one time CN even owned a bunch of lodges as part of their hotel chains. So now it's just, like I said, part of the Canadian, and CN also goes through the area. The locals told me of at least about 15 times a day, but I was only able to catch one train that came through the area. So that about wraps up my 2-week northern experience, at least the railway side of things. And what little time I was able to get away from work to check out some trains, well, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.